Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of cinema. Welcome to Enfuegotainment. I'm Jaime Enfuego, and I have two of my favorite people on this entire mundo. That's right, the entire planet Earth with me.
I'm Cecil Laird.
Hi, Brandy.
Very simple, very to the point, and we're here today to talk about another 2016 blockbuster because of the fact that this past weekend, to the tune of nearly $140 million, Finding Dory destroyed the box office.
Somewhere out there is my family. I can't find him on my own.
Hang on, Dory!
Surf's up, dude!
Incoming!
I don't want to be touched. Sorry.
That's okay. Everybody does it. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Dory, you are about to find your parents. And when you do that, you'll be
Home.
And we actually waited a couple days because we didn't want to have to deal with all of the children's, but
And
this
yes,
is one.
we still did.
Yes, indeed. We knew it was kind of unavoidable, but the original came out in 2003, and so maybe long overdue for a sequel here 13 years later, but we always do a little bit of good, bad, and ugly, or as I like to say, bueno, malo, and feo, and so we're just going to jump right to it, guys. I'm going to ask the lady beside me, what did you like about this movie? Sorry.
My favorite thing was seeing how far Pixar has progressed with their animation skills.
Yeah, and I think we learned through The Good Dinosaur, right, how far they've come along, even if that movie was a little lackluster in comparison. But
Disappointing, but pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like it compares with the way they did with What's Under the Water, even the undertow. Like, it was mesmerizing. It was vividly just beautiful.
I agree with that. Yeah, there's something about being a person that loves water. Like, I'm a scuba diver. I enjoy having water fixtures around me if I possibly can.
Despite us all living in the desert.
Exactly. Yeah, ironically enough. But I thought I agreed. Like, seeing sort of how the life interacts with each other underwater, and knowing what it's like to be down on the reefs and sort of letting the current sort of take you, because one of the rules in scuba diving is hands in. You're not supposed to touch anything. You're not supposed to push off anything for fear of hurting the environment. And seeing how things just sort of float in the environment and seeing the particulates.
Especially in the 3D.
You know, honestly, I don't know that I actually felt that the 3D added as much as some of the people were thinking it did.
Not as much, but that's one thing I saw
marine
was
snow.
those little
Marine snow, there you go. That's yeah. They made it so realistic that it was a little dark at times, but it was beautiful to see nonetheless.
I love the fact that we got some serious heartstring pulling when we experienced Dory's past, where her parents are basically trying to just instill something so desperately within her head, and you could tell it really is a vigilant process. You know, when
Shells?
you have
I like shells.
yeah, but I mean, it's one thing that a lot of reviewers have mentioned is the fact that children with learning disabilities, they can really find something uplifting in a confident manner that made you believe in the fact that you can overcome those hurdles and those personal challenges and stuff like that. And those really tugged on my heartstrings. You know, all the scenes with young Dory were my favorite scenes in the whole movie, actually.
Yeah, you know, I'll piggyback on that for my bueno, because the movie didn't quite hit the heights of the original Finding Nemo.
Tough to hit those.
I was a little worried that there wasn't quite as much heart going on, and then you get to a point in the movie where it's like, oh, that's where the heart is.
Exactly.
And I really like that. What I'm going to make my specific bueno, though, is Ellen DeGeneres. Because, you know, she specifically stood out once again. I mean, everyone loved her in the first movie because she was the comic relief.
Indeed.
And she was sort of the hidden heart within the whole movie. She sort of relayed what Marlin, played by Albert Brooks, and
coming
Little
back,
Nemo,
still
exactly.
doing great.
And it was really nice to see that she sort of was still the glue holding the story together. Now, I don't know that was enough to make it in the top 5 Pixar movies, but Ellen's performance was definitely the buenoest of the buenos in this movie for me.
Indeed. Now, I know...
Great big eyes.
Yes, love
big
the big
and
eyes.
beautiful, and just, you know, so full of wonder and awe. Now, Brandy, I know that you loved another voice actor in this, right? It's a new character that we got to meet in. Ed O'Neill.
Hank is amazing, yes, but I instantly heard his voice and was like, oh God, it's Al Bundy.
Yeah, actually, it was interesting because he kept his register kind of low and whispery for a while.
Indeed.
I had to actually look it up in the middle of the movie because it was digging at me, not knowing who it was.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah.
He was in the middle of the floor when they were in quarantine, and the way he said something, and I go, oh my God, it's Al Bundy again. But yeah, that was great. Hank was a fantastic addition to the Finding Nemo family, I guess you could say.
A lot of great
Yeah.
visual
I
gags
get
with
the
Hank
feeling
as
we
well.
may be seeing
Indeed.
more of Hank, and I think we might have seen him before this too.
That's possible.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
possible.
Hint. It's out there. I'm not gonna go into details.
It's a possibility. And
Hey,
so,
these movies tie together in ways that people don't necessarily foresee. Yeah.
yeah, and then they also do lots of little shorts and stuff with Pixar besides
Oh,
the one
that's
that we saw at the
God, it
beginning.
was
But
so good.
Piper was the short at the
Yes.
beginning of this one, and that was.
I thought the animation in that was
Great.
even more impressive
I
than in
agree.
the feature.
Honestly, I think
Yeah.
the short. I might have enjoyed the short just a little bit more, which has been happening more and more with recent ones.
Yeah.
I thought the volcano.
Oh my God, that
song
one made me
Yeah.
cry.
was excellent, and I actually my favorite
cried.
short was Paperman. I thought Paperman was amazing. So it's nice to see that Pixar is carrying their quality forward with the shorts previous to these big releases for kids and for the summer. It's
Totally.
Bring it back to that visual, like I said, of their just embellishment of how much they can do with their animation now. Piper was flawless. I mean, when you look at the sand and you looked at the feathers and everything else, like it made me feel like I was on the beach.
Yeah.
And even beyond that, the way that they can tell a story with no dialogue is just really amazing. Constantly, to their credit, I gotta say. So, one other bueno that I have to mention is that I laughed very hard about a certain character that we've been discussing a lot, or well, not character, actress, I should say, this past year. It's the anniversary of Aliens, and so everybody's been talking about Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver!
It was a very great audio cameo.
Hilarious, in fact, and the fact that Ellen DeGeneres keeps mentioning Sigourney Weaver throughout the entire film. Very funny. We're not going to totally spoil the gag because it's really amusing, but as you guys probably know, this takes place pretty much at a place just like SeaWorld, and so
The
they're
Marine Life Institute.
And they had to be
Thank you for the
very
clarification.
tiptoey with that, considering
Big time.
all of the issues
Release,
surrounding those marine
release.
parks.
Oh yeah, which is why they mentioned that third step, as opposed to keeping things constantly in captivity, which is one thing that if we're going to segue into the Malos about this film, the original was just this big epic journey through the entire ocean practically, so just enthralling in that aspect, and this one much more condensed and much more just maybe not as epic. And I love the first one. I mean, the first one brought tears to my eyes, and this one, being in the place where it was held, they hit some of the same beats as I know you mentioned to me. And do you want to expound upon
Yeah,
them all?
what I was going to say about it is that the movie was good, but they tried to use so much stuff set up from the first movie, which set up a lot of gags and everything, and that was good.
Yeah.
But the problem is, the heart was there in this one. It didn't come until a little bit later than I would have liked. And the problem is everything came a little bit too easy
Yeah.
for our protagonists.
We did
Like
not
you
have
said.
all three hearts. We had maybe 1.5.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
something.
in the first movie, they had to, Marlin had to go through hell and high water to find Nemo, and he and Dory went through so many different things, and it felt, like you said, much more epic. And yeah, the fact that it takes place mostly in a Marine Institute automatically shrinks the scale down, but the problem is, even with that shrunken scale, I don't feel like there was enough pushing back against our protagonists. Everything was still coming a little bit easy.
Not as much adversity.
Every little tank that they happened to fall into was the right one.
But she was in a mop bucket.
Yeah, but eventually, there was a very convenient land-loving creature that could kind of help out when necessary. Amphibious creature, I should say.
Yeah.
I won't ruin which one because we may or may not have already discussed it, but
Yeah.
the point is, everything came just a little bit too easy for them in this one, and it made it not quite have the payoff that I was hoping it would have, like the first one.
Yeah, didn't we throw you in the dumpster? Yeah, I got out, okay? So,
Yeah.
it was a little too easy at times. Was there anything, Malo, Ms. Brandolin, that just comes to mind, stuff that you think didn't work as well in the film?
Well, I kind of disagree a little bit. I think
You're allowed to.
in the beginning of the movie, especially when we're finding the origins of Dory and what happened to her, I was incredibly sad, which made me feel bad. So I'm gonna pick that as my Malo, but yeah.
That might even be a Feo.
I honestly, I felt bad. I was like so upset, and it wasn't the heartstrings, I guess, in the end, which you related to, Cecil, but it was the heartstrings in the beginning because she was alone and she was lost and she had no idea where she was. Really only having these small memories of her parents. it made me incredibly emotional, especially when she was trying to get help from all these people, well, not people, but fish, that she kept swimming past all these oceanic creatures, and
Fisher people.
you know, nobody fish are friends, not food.
There you go.
But
That's what I was looking for.
they didn't help her, you know, because she had no idea what she was doing, because she kept losing her train of thought, and the only thing she could really remember was that she had short-term memory loss. And so that was the bad for me, was it made me feel bad.
Well, we don't like that, but I mean, that's maybe a byproduct of good storytelling, you know,
No.
the fact that she felt bad.
It made me
and,
happy
you know,
later,
yeah.
but yeah, it definitely took me from the super low to, you know, plateauing out, and then the climax of the end.
Gotcha.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, okay, well, I can tell that she really enjoyed it, and she's struggling to find the model, but for me, I felt like, without revealing too much as far as the third act goes, it got a little too
very much more kid-centric.
Yes, indeed. And so whereas I felt like Finding Nemo was very just all ages appealing, I felt like this one really just devolved into just going for the easy chuckles, sight gags and stuff like that, as opposed to really hilarious humor, I guess, when they finally get to this particular area where you're going to be like cleaned up and stuff, without, you know, divulging too much. There's some funny dialogue and whatnot, but yeah, it was just, once again, back to piggyback on him, too easy with the jokes, too easy with going for just bits that were successful in the previous film and felt a little bit more unoriginal in this one. So
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna try and use that to segue into the FEO, if that's okay with you.
Totally.
My FEO is sort of a different one, and it just sort of occurred to me now as you were talking. There was a lot of really solid voice talent in this movie, and certain actors really shined when they were on screen, and I was finding myself wishing that they had more screen time. For instance, the two sea lions on The Rock, one of them played by Idris Elba.
Yes.
And that was really
the
funny.
gunslinger himself.
Exactly. and the sort of special needs sea lion that tried to share the rock with him. Like,
Gerald!
they were really funny. I thought the whale shark and the beluga whale were both really
I
good.
really love the beluga.
So the problem came in that I wanted to see more of the supporting characters than the main characters in this one. Specifically, I almost could have done without Marlin and Nemo entirely.
Yeah, didn't they feel kind of throwaway in some ways?
Well, you know, it
I
felt
mean, not
like
so much throwaway,
they
but
needed them to sort of be the train tracks for Dory. That Dory could sort of circle back to and hop back on to get to the destination.
yeah,
but
and they were the bridge from the storytelling of the original film.
But that's the problem. I think the movie might have done better if they had tried to build a stronger film without those train tracks to follow.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Like I said, Idris Elba was great. The voice actors behind the whale shark and the beluga whale were great. So I just wanted to see them more. That would be my ugly.
So if I was going to say a FEO, it would definitely be something similar to what Brandy said, but without getting too spoiler-centric, I guess we're going to put a little tape on there. The eventual reunion, you know, just like in the original film, it's pretty much predestined, and so in this one,
But I wasn't sure.
I was uncertain as well.
That's a good quality of storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a kids movie, right? You should expect that there's going to be
Everything's
a
gonna be
happy-ish
okay.
ending, right? But I wasn't sure.
There's
I was
always another way.
Exactly, and there's always another way in the storytelling as well. So it was nice that we couldn't necessarily really rely on the fact that it was going to happen, but it did happen, and what happened?
Yeah, and when it did finally happen, this is where, like, I was literally tearing up because of the fact that something you just, you know, said that you felt a similar reaction to. There's something with seashells, and it's just, it's heart-wrenching, and it's possibly one of the most emotionally effective scenes in the entire film. I guess they didn't really spoil that much.
No, the idea
you know?
of never giving up no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter who you are in the story, you never give up.
Yeah.
And when I saw this particular thing involving seashells, I even audibly let out like because it got me in that particular moment.
And not ugly in the storytelling, but ugly in the reaction of these two grown men, the both of us.
You know what?
Just like having an animated movie tugging on our
We're in
heartstrings to that
touch.
degree.
We're in touch with ourselves.
Damn
That's all
right
that
we are.
means.
I got that family doesn't always have to be blood.
Mm-hmm. That's
that
a great one.
You will always remember those you love.
No matter what.
And that was really, really a powerful message, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's really tough when you have something as epic and heartfelt and amazing as Finding Nemo. They had a really tough battle ahead of them to try to match some of that magic.
They had an uphill battle for sure.
They did. Disney is laughing all the way to the bank after Civil War and everything else from, Star Wars to...
Let them.
Oh, goodness.
Let them.
I I think the ugliest thing, I guess, in the whole movie was like you said, this supporting character that I kind of hoped we would have seen more of, the squid. I really like the squig, but he was
The evil
ugly.
one?
Yeah, with the beak.
He was there very briefly.
I wanted to see more. I was hoping he would come back.
It was like the shark from the first one, not quite as menacing or anything
saying,
like that.
just
Yeah,
saying.
Indeed.
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
they were
enough.
just going for something.
And they hinted that, you know, they were building like ideologies and et cetera, et cetera. The Kraken is coming for you.
Interesting. Yes, well, I guess maybe Nemo and Dory have to brace themselves for the
you miss
oncoming
that?
Kraken.
I missed the Kraken. I missed
Did
that.
did you miss that reference that they were
I
saying
guess
that
so.
people were worshiping this crazy thing before it came out? Am I the only one that got that in the movie?
I guess
Yeah, I
so,
totally missed
yeah.
It's because I'm a creepy octopus loving weirdo squid person. But he's not an octopus, he's
And I guess-
septopus.
And I guess that is
Septopus.
ugly to think about that. The fact that she went there and both of us were
Totally missed it.
enthralled with the whimsy. So. In any event, I could extend a grande gracias to all of y'all checking out this review. I've been Jaime Enfuego. You can check all of this out on Enfuegotainment, and I'm always on social media sectors. But the most important thing is the bigger show in the grander scheme of things that I do with this gentleman beside me, and he's going to tell you all about that.
Not bigger, just different. What we do is we basically do a horror variety show on YouTube at youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. We do horror movie reviews, how-tos, comedy sketches, celebrity interviews, event coverage. We just had Danny Trejo, the legendary Dee Wallace, a couple of people from What We Do in the Shadows, to name just a few of the people that
this girl loves that
have
movie.
been on our channel. So check it out over there. Like I said, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. 7 days a week, all kinds of horror variety entertainment.
Indeed. So if it's not just the hottest entertainment with an edge, you can always scope that out. And I have to extend a grande gracias to this special lady beside me. Gracias, Brandolyn. Thanks for being a part of this review. I know how much you love Disney.
Yeah, Disney junkies for life.
Oh, life, yo! So once again, guys, thank you so very much. Gracias. I've been Jaime Enfuego. These have been my two awesome guests. And until we discover a little bit more of the hottest entertainment with an edge with y'all next time, hasta luego, sin amigos, but let's make it sooner rather than later. Peace.
Bye!